Go download my free legato course right now and learn to play fast in the fastest way possible. Hey, how do you play with emotion? I hear that a lot. Something played with emotion, but I never hear anybody teach it. Right? It's like, if you use a lot of phrasing skills, if you play slowly, then you're playing with emotion, right? Let me just get into the picture here. If you hang on to notes and stay there for a while, then you're playing with emotion. If you have breaks in between when you play, so you play a phrase and then you have pause. We say these things about playing with emotion, but we're just talking about one emotion, basically. We're not talking about all of them. And we don't talk about how to actually learn to play with emotion. You will in this video. It's very short, but I'll give you the recipe, totally, so you can start practicing it. And for me, the first level of playing with emotion is hitting the right notes. And you can do that to some extent with arpeggio. So if you got a D minor in the background like I had here, you can play the D minor scale, the D natural minor, and then you can focus on the notes of the D minor chord, which is the D minor arpeggio. Lay that on top. I just lost my freaking, sorry. So I got, the natural minor scale, and then I can play and then I can use the arpeggio, go in between the notes of the arpeggio using the scale notes as passing notes. Right? And then I can create melodies that sound very good up against that chord. But there's a way that if you want to play with emotion, really get into it and really enjoy it, and you want to do it on the level of notes, you need to train your ear. And I don't mean doing exercises where I say, okay, what is this interval? It's a diminished fifth, right? What is this interval? This is the major third. Not that kind of, that's fine if you want to do it. I never found it practical in any, I just didn't. But what I really like as ear training, the best exercise I know of, is to take a chord, like say, you pick a key, right? Let's say we're in C major, just to make it easy. And you got a C major chord in the key of C major, and you're using the C major scale. That's the foundation. You can do anything, but let's just start here. Then I play the C major chord in the background, like that. Then I pick any place, if you try to navigate with the cage shapes, then I pick any cage shape. But I only pick a couple of strings. So I might pick just the top string of the first position major shape. Doesn't matter where it is. And so I try to be very good at playing over that C major chord. And I just stay there. Let me add a little bit of distortion here. Go on to the next string. That's a good note. That's a tense note. Okay, so next string. No. Yeah. Tense. Home. Tense. Home. So now I have a good picture of where are the cool notes, the not tense notes, and where are the tense note, the notes in the scale that are not in the chord and that sound kind of spicy up against the chord, right? And then I can navigate and play lines that start and end on a chord note. That sounds like C major, right? And now I'm creating melodies. But then the next step after having this little area covered is, as I get better at hitting the right notes and starting to create melodies, just, whatever melodies, just by following that little system of starting and ending on a chord note, using the other notes of the scale as passing notes. Once I can do that, I can start really listening to what I like here. I can go. That's emotion. Even if I went. That's also emotion, even though I'm playing faster. Right? It's just a different kind of emotion. The more notes, the more frantic it seems, or the more energy is in there, right? Right? So that's an important, and then you can always spend, a day here at the same area, or a week, right? In the same area. Every time you do this exercise, just the same area. So you get to know it by heart. Then the other area. Just do any part of it, but just stay in an area long enough for you to be really familiar with it. Then you can play another chord from the C major scale, like let's say an E minor. Use the same scale. This is the third chord in the C major scale. Right? Start getting good at that. Just remember that emotion starts there. It's the melody and the chords, right? In any song, you see it on notes on a sheet of paper. A notation, like a piece of classical music. There's no music there. There's just, it's just digital signs of what notes to, and then we add the phrasing and the tempo shifts and everything afterwards. But there's emotion in the piece already. So you can talk about emotion all day, but if you don't have control over just the right amount of going from no tension to tension with your ear, because that's it's the listening, right? What's going on in the background. And then you can add, that's another level, all those pinch harmonics and the vibrato and the sliding and combining it on top of that exercise. And that will make you so good at playing with emotion, your emotion. And I don't care what those are. They can be rage. And you can play fast all the time. He's playing with a lot of emotion. He's very angry, and he sure is showing it. Woo, what an emotional player, right? Shred, whatever. Yngwie Malmsteen, whatever, right? Tons of emotion in that. It's just not the emotion we become like. Nothing wrong with that emotion. I'm just making fun of it because people see that, oh, that's emotion. No, it's just that emotion you want, right? Nothing wrong with the whole spectrum here. And then what I suggest you do after that is that, for instance, if we're in the blues or in any style of music, you then play a chord in the background. You must have a looper pedal to practice soloing. And then what you do is you work with your phrasing, but you do it with just a couple of notes, so you can work with them. So you don't go on to something else all the time. Let me do some vibrato here, some pinch harmonics there. You go, let me play something in D. Then I try to work on my upstroke pinch harmonics. Maybe I want to go for the bridge. Vibrato there. I let the note hang a little bit before I do. I play the last couple of notes very silently. So you can almost hear, the pull-offs. You can hear the little details. You might play with your fingers and. You can pull them off, or you can do that was pinch harmonic. You can slide. Once you really perfected that line, you do another line. Sliding down. Bend up and stop it. Right? So you work with every sliding, bending, vibrato, every technique you have, and add it to the ear training exercise where you really spend enough time in an area with one chord. And you can say, oh, Claus, there's lots of chords, right? Even in the major minor scale, we got 7 different chords. Do I then have to play each of the 7 different chords and then play the same major scale up against that chord in every little single position and training my ear? No, you don't. Not if you take it all the way to mastery. If you took just the C major chord in one position, right, on 3 strings, and you become so good at it that you can pick up your guitar and you can just start playing lines that sound totally cool up against that C major, then it becomes so much easier to do it over the next chord, or so much easier to do it in the next position. You do a couple of positions, a couple of strings, and then suddenly you can just do it over whatever chord in the key, because your ear is trained, not specifically up against some chord. It's the skill of listening and then playing that becomes developed. And then you don't have to do, you can do all kinds of scales, chords, blues, rock, whatever it is, harmonic, melodic, minor, it doesn't matter. If you just stick with something for long enough to actually master it, just one position, one chord, one scale, move on to another position with the same chord, then change the chord, move on to another position, right? But it's mastery that's the key to rapid development here. Most people, they just line up a practice plan. I got 7 chords within the key of C major. Let's play each and every chord, and then let's find the cool notes in each position so we can do that. And then you walk into that plan that takes 7 months, and you just, you go on to something new every time you become good at it. And so it takes you forever, and of course you give up, because it's like, I have other things to focus on as well. That's not what you want to do. You want to take one thing and then hammer away at it for a week, right? And 1 chord or 2 chord or a couple of positions, then become so good at using your ear up against that chord or those 2 chords that it's a joke, right? You can just, you got it. And then the next thing is much easier, and then much easier. That's how to develop rapidly, but it takes time in the beginning. You see, most people want to move on to the next position. Okay, got the first position, the top 3 strings with the C major. Let me move on here, and then I do this. And maybe I have a practice regimen every day where I play here, there, here, there, here, there, here, there, new chord, take the D minor, okay, up against it, and then the E minor, find the right notes, and you learn 0, nothing. You can keep on doing that exercise of going through each of the 7 chords in the key and all the positions and finding the notes and going on and on and on and on for hours a day, and you learn absolutely almost nothing because it's too much, and you never get to mastery with any of it. But I promise you, you can do that for 7 months and you'll be poor at it. Do one thing in one position with 1 chord. And when that is super easy, you take another chord or take another position, do the same thing there. Spend enough time there to become a master. And the next thing will be easier, where you then become a master of the next thing. And then after a couple of weeks, you already got it down. You say, this is easier. And then after a couple of months, you're like almost there, right? It's amazing if you focus on mastery and focus on staying with one thing for long enough. But out of boredom, people move on to something else. But this is not about being entertained by the practicing. This is about being entertained by being a master of what you do, so you can really start having some fun. So instead of moving on to something new all the time, stick with it, grind it, do it, right? Push it to mastery. That's much more exciting than the next thing, right? That you can then become poor at. Sorry. So, got way off track here. Playing with emotion starts with being able to create melodies, which is walking from chord note to chord note, using the scale that the chord come from. So you do that in one position, 3 strings, and become really good at it. Play around with it until you're really good at it. And then, stick with a thing long enough for you to actually to develop some mastery. Then you add the phrasing techniques, the bending, the sliding, the vibrato, everything, and you work with it like a chef, like you just the right amount of taste, and you record yourself so you can hear afterwards how you play. And that is the surefire way of being able to play with emotion, intense emotion. Subscribe for more free videos. Do it now. Do it.